Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me here at Patriots Perspective today. I wasn't really expecting to do a video at all here today, but I wanted to bring on Meghan Walsh, who we did an interview yesterday with Nicholas Benjamin on his YouTube channel and on other channels where we did an entire presentation of Meghan's allegations. And when we did that, Nicholas has lost his YouTube channel now for 30 days. Fortunately, he had the video backed up. It's on BitChute now. It has over 5,000 views on BitChute. It had over, I want to say like 15,000 views already on YouTube. It is absolutely going viral because it has all the allegations that CPS in Indian River County have against Meghan. And Meghan, I wanted to have you on today because I know you had a really tough day. Today is your birthday, and happy birthday. But I know it was really bittersweet because when I text you to say happy birthday, the message that I got back was Esther Grace wasn't there today, which is absolutely heartbreaking. So you had a visit with, I know this is really tough, so I'm going to try to give the audience a little background. So you had a visit scheduled with CPS in Indian River County, and your baby girl wasn't there. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, and thank you, Christy, and everybody for hopping on and really keeping updated and with me on this. I couldn't do it without everybody, honestly. I've been really strong in this, and now, never mind my other children, but now with the baby, it's just really over the threshold. But we're still here, and we're still speaking out and trying to protect these, my babies and get them home and show how the system, really does this. But it's my birthday today. I'm 40, and I went to go have my visit. I was so looking forward to today being just visits with my kids. I was supposed to have a 2-hour visit with Esther in the morning and a 2-hour to 2-hour visit with the kids in the afternoon with my other 3 beautiful children in the afternoon. And that's how we usually do it. As we can see, it really does consume your life. But today I was really excited, and every day I look forward to, being able to do this and see them. Esther already is not bonding with me except for 2 hours twice a week, which is, for a newborn, if you actually know the psychology, you actually know about child development, you actually know about birth and all of this postpartum, then you would know how horrific this is, including brain damage that, shows up on children that have been removed like this, and my other 3 as well. So, yes, I did show up with bells on to see my baby this morning, and there was a mix-up, and she wasn't picked up, and the visit didn't happen. So, yeah.
And so,
again, knowing that they haven't really checked on her and they haven't been communicating with the foster mom and things is just really disheartening, to say the very, very least.
So who is responsible in a typical CPS? Because I think, the majority of people fortunately may not have any clue what the responsibilities are and who's really in charge of CPS. So it's my understanding from your case that you had requested that baby Esther go to her doctor for checkups. Have you gotten any wellness reports from CPS that they promised?
When my original 3 were taken, we had a wonderful doctor, and they refused to take my children to their doctor because, it's my way and all of that. And the same Esther, again, they removed the baby, saying and claiming on a false report that I'd had the baby and she hadn't had medical care, when just the day before, at 4 days old, she had already been to her pediatrician, where it was a night and day scene. I was in my pediatrician, and a wonderful women, and just being praised and complimented and encouraged about what a beautiful baby and what a wonderful job I had done and how healthy she was. And, everyone, even at the office, through CHS and all of this visits, are saying how amazing she is and how beautiful and strong and healthy And so, yes, I had, I have a great relationship with my pediatrician, our primary care doctor. And we had, talked with the department, and they agreed to weekly weigh-ins and check-ins for my baby at the pediatrician, so we could have eyes and ears, and we could make sure, since they're accusing me of neglect and abuse. I mean, this is what I would normally do with my child that's been born. I've had 2 other beautiful home births and natural births. All 4 of my children have been born naturally with no pain medication, even
Wow.
never mind anything else. So, it's a
It's
wild ride.
alarming. It really is alarming. That when I read that allegation, it literally was heartbreaking. And they're really trying to make it out as though you had the baby at home to kind of hide the birth, when the reality is that's not the truth at all. So I think the public really needs to understand that. And then what's also normal.
Well, and to understand the fact that all of these allegations have proof behind them. Like, we have to understand our system at this point. And like, they have been able to just throw hearsay and allegations, or take a truth and just demonize it and make it to a level that most of us couldn't even imagine making it into as a narrative. And when people need to understand that we have all of the evidence and all proof, all of it could be dismissed and proven otherwise, except for the fact that in the system, many times, and most of the time, you aren't given the chance to, because of the way that it's set up, unfortunately.
Yeah,
And especially with who my father is.
Yeah, absolutely. So just in case you're just now joining us, you've never seen Meghan before, because I've never had you on before, Meghan. So we've just kind of jumped right into it because we've been on other shows, and with Nicholas's show yesterday, I don't want to go into this long drawn out debacle or show on your birthday, but I did want to give you the opportunity to be able to tell and document what's really happened. And what would happen because obviously CPS missed a visit. What would happen if you had missed a visit with your children?
Well, I can't thank you enough again for having me on today. I don't care if it's my birthday, or any day. This is about my children and getting them home, and what our system is doing across this country and globe. If I had missed a visit at all, and many parents that have been put through this horror know this and will agree, that if I had missed a visit, then I would lose it, and it would be marked against me, and it would be used in court. But if they have to reschedule, and it doesn't matter even if obviously you're at the office, or what it is that they make it up to you, or sometimes they don't. Even mine have been very good that they have. I always give credit where it's due, but unfortunately that's one tiny bit. That's not enough.
So Meghan, did you get to see the older children today? And if so, where are the children? How are they? Tell us a little bit about them if you got the opportunity to see them.
Yeah, I did get to see it, because it's usually our regularly scheduled visit day. So I happened to get to see them, thank God. And it was only an hour, so I get, only a short bit of time, about 20 minutes with each child, which is nothing. That if you add that math up, figure out how many days even that is a year. So, it was really sad. It was amazing, given the circumstance. I'm always grateful for that. But it was horrible. It's like, their mother's in prison or something. They had a cake and cards for me that they opened, and Ava's really trying to get the message out that, my mom is an amazing mom, which is heartbreaking. My daughter should never be in this place. She's 9, and excuse me, but it is truly disturbing, especially when it's what, a lot of similar to what I went through growing up, and what I was, protecting my children from before any of this, with a therapist and with help and support to get on our own, and to have that support system, so we wouldn't have anything go wrong, and we wouldn't be in my children wouldn't experience anything like this.
So yesterday, I don't think I made it really clear, because I didn't really understand that Ava's father, he has the same name of yesterday's show host. So I was getting like a little confused between the show host name and even like when I was reading through it, just kind of didn't register with me when I was reading through things. But he has never seen your oldest child, right? He's never seen her, but yet somehow he has, like, he's filed for the parenting petition. So that was
he had never met her, never anything in 9 years. Again, I mentioned it on Nicholas's, but you know, he could have called me at any time in 9 years and done this in a very healthy and positive way, especially with everything that was going on with my parents and my family. I didn't know him to begin with when it happened. He was a older brother of a family friend growing up that I'd known the family since childhood. My parents don't spend time with his family or his parents, but they have been in the same town, and they have known that Ava was his daughter since conception. And, you know, now again, like we discussed, they've come forward saying that they had no idea that she was even his. My parents looked at a photograph and saw blue eyes and realized that he randomly in the town was her father. That is, I don't know who the conspiracy theorists are here anymore. Sorry, I have to make a sarcastic joke, but it's really bizarre. And he did, you know, instead of calling me, you know, I don't even know how he was able to file this to begin with, and a lawyer actually, you know, file this on his behalf and do this when he had never even spoken or had any knowledge of all of these allegations that we directly addressed yesterday, and I have for a year. So same with my family. How did John and Meghan Walsh get custody of my children and taken from me and put in the hands of these people? Sadly.
Right. Yeah, and we definitely took a deep dive on that yesterday, and I think it's absolutely like unbelievable. And what was most alarming to me was that this father who's never seen his daughter in, you know, she's 9 now, never seen his daughter, number one, has visitation rights to her, and there was supposed to have been a plan to basically so that she could meet him, so that she could get to know him. And have you ever seen evidence of that plan?
Well, I mean, it's worked in CPS, does it? That's how they also make more money, is if you get the fathers involved, especially if the parents don't get along, then that's more services, that's more court dates, that's more everything. So they go after the, you know, the abusers or the fathers or whatever the situation is. Everyone is different. But in most of these situations these days, because of the way the system is, it is abusers or people doing this. And, you know, I don't think that any person would agree with the fact that coming into your daughter's life in this manner is healthy whatsoever. That is very indicative of an abuser. He's allowing my parents to adopt her, but then now they're having overnights at his home, and you know, his other 2 daughters are going off to college. I think his youngest has 1 more year of high school, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, you know, once my parents go to them behind my back because I was going no contact, then he gets involved in this way. And it's really unfortunate. I mean, this is criminal, and it's, you know, it's lies. What he's done, he's clearly not thinking about his daughter. And he has now put this in her story, in her life, in her future. And my parents have done that with my other children now. Not to mention my daughter in foster care as a newborn. This is the rest of her life. I thought we were.
And just to be clear, Meghan, the daughter, the children, the baby is in foster care, and the other 3 children are with your parents in New York right now, and you're having to meet with them on Zoom, right? That's the reason you were saying that they were opening the presents, they were opening the cards and reading them. Did I understand that correctly?
Yeah, they're in New York in the Finger Lakes, and they have nannies raising my children, and they have their newborn granddaughter in a random foster home where she's not even being checked on and taken from her mother. Which for people that had their one child taken from them, I can't imagine how this is being reconciled from the outside to make sense.
No, I don't understand it at all, because you would think that, I mean, if any of us, and I've said this yesterday, but if any of us as normies or normal people had gone through this, and if we had ever had a child kidnapped, especially a child murdered, we would never, I don't think we would ever get a second opportunity to foster a child, to take a child, you know, in any way, in custody in any way.
Yeah. And how they haven't, you know, how these people who call themselves experts and are fine with collecting salaries and literally taking children, you know, how they aren't aware and actually even looking at the allegations versus my family's history, my parents' well-documented history, and not see correlations, not recognize narcissistic abuse, not recognize projection, parental alienation. I mean, these are issues within their system that they need to be very aware of, if not experts in. And again, like I've said, I even asked if there was any child psychologists or anything on staff. You have to have a bachelor's degree to do visits, and you know, one in social work to be a supervisor.
Wow. Wow. This is all just, I mean, it's so alarming to me. When I read those allegations and I went through them, at first it sounded like an absolute joke, from things such as, you know, you had your deadbolts on, and I'm not going to go through the whole debacle, but it was quite a debacle. And I was really surprised that they used words like peppering, that you're peppering theories online and that you are spreading misinformation. Well, I would question whose misinformation. Especially now that Nicholas has had his channel removed for us simply reading court documents.
Yep.
That you have allowed with your attorney, Hollis Mandel, who we're very grateful is representing you. And Meghan, I really, you know, pray that this, you know, that there's no more mix-ups, because I'm sure that the workers, you know, at the CPS, I'm sure they realize what's going on, because
yeah,
you know, sadly, and you know, I pray that they really come forward, you know, that they come forward and they tell the truth, because, you know, I always say to people, you know, those are just workers. Yes, they're just trying to do a job, but at the same time, it is their duty to stand up and say, you know what, this is not right. And yeah, I'm
also court mandated reporters, you know, but I didn't mean to cut you off. Excuse me, Christy, but you know, I do have to say that, you know, we have to really articulate who is doing this. It's not everybody bad in the system. No. Who I'm about to mention, but this is judges, the guardian ad litems, and the CPS system, not yes, it's then outsourced and contracted to independent organizations like Children's Home Society and things, and they have a part in that as well. But, you know, these are the women that are hands-on, and they have no power. Everything is, oh, the judge ordered it. That's what we've really seen within this issue, and for that to be happening when those people, the judges, the GALs barely, and the attorneys never have firsthand experience of these. So for me, you know, I've always promoted better ways, the fact that the community needs to be handling the situation. If we're gonna have anything like this, you know, the executive power should be within those smaller departments that then have it. You know, CPS should, you know, can take in children. We have a criminal justice system for that as well, by the way. And, you know, then these people that are hands-on, is my point, really need to be heard as well. They are put through hell. There are bad ones, and, you know, they have ulterior motives, and we need to look at that, you know, at a different time. But there are good people within this, but it's this system. It is systemic. We need to realize that, and people need to step forward that are not okay with that. This is your taxpayer dollars going, I mean, on top of everything. This is a bigger picture.
And can you tell people how they can actually watch in their community? Because I never realized until I heard you say it, even yesterday, and a couple of other times you had mentioned how people can watch the family court system, like even from their laptop. They don't have to go, right? They can actually just log on and listen in. And what should they be looking out for with that?
Well, anyone can go and find out their judge's local Zoom link for family court or dependency court specifically. And you can sign on as a court watcher. All hearings are public until a termination of parental rights hearing or an adoption hearing, which that's another thing we'll do, and I speak out on and educate on. But really, the people need to realize that this is around you, this is local to you, and that's how we come together to stop it. Is all the little bits come together when you do your work. So if you get on and find out that the court watching link, the judge's link, it would be for the dependency trials, tell your friends, share it with like-minded people within your community. Start talking, start dialogue about that. And when you go on and court watch, what you're going to look for is the judge's demeanor. You're going to see how the person being put through this is being treated, how, just observe really as citizens. We all have our intuition. We know good from, bad and from evil. And we want people just to have eyes and ears on these judges and attorneys and this system in general. It's not personal. If you're not partaking, you're doing what's right, then why wouldn't you be for this, Also, I encourage people to look into their local contracted out, like their foster homes, which we call foster prisons, as well as the local smaller agencies that take over the case management. Look at their contracts. The foster homes will have contracts with local pharmacies or even bigger pharmacies, and that's very concerning for other reasons. But I'm just trying to give examples of where can simply even go online. If you have a lunch break or a day off, get on for an hour and court watch in your community, and you can write affidavits for those people's cases if something does go awry. If a judge gets out of line or raises his voice, that's mispropriety. That's definitely a wrongful, action on his behalf, and examples like that we can really start being aware of, as well as educating yourself and others around you in your community.
Yeah, thank you for that. One other question that I do have about the visitations that kind of just came to my mind. So the children are on Zoom. Where do they go to get on Zoom when they're in New York?
They go to our farm in the living room with the nanny.
So they just go in the living room with the nanny. But are you allowed to get on Zoom at your home, or do you have to go somewhere?
No, I get on at my home. I'm not allowed to have anyone, obviously around. That's not a big deal.
Okay.
But, they again have nannies in there and doing everything. So.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I was wondering. I was wondering if they're, and so does the CPS worker just kind of sit back on Zoom and just kind of listen in, or?
Yeah, our visitation supervisors, again, that was John Walsh running the show again. I have to say, I gave them a whole list of supervisors, family, friends they allow you to do and things like that. They approved a list for us. They even set up Mother's Day last year and everything, where when they informed my parents, John Walsh said, no, that's not happening. We want the department to supervise and all this. So he's been using resources, requiring them to have to be there. And my two visitation supervisors and any others that have come in to help have really been amazing. Again, it's been really, they see the truth. They are very upset about what's going on and not okay with it. And they know that my children need to be returned home. They need it. They watch them beg to come home. They watch them cry. We all have to sit here and go through this because of, John Walsh and the judge and,
right.
The
everybody just needs to go online and listen and just look up Sheriff Flowers, John Walsh. You'll see really what Megan's talking about. This is the same Indian River County that he campaigned for the sheriff for. In my opinion, the campaign video kind of speaks for itself, so we won't go into that. We played it yesterday on Nicholas's channel. So I do encourage everybody to go over and listen to all the allegations and, make up your minds for yourself. I mean, because, we really do, like as Megan says, we really do have to pay attention to what is going on around us, because it is alarming, and we have to stop it. I mean, we just have to stop it, Megan. And I really am grateful for you. I'm really glad that you're here speaking up, that you've, done as many shows as I could, ever imagine, and still more. Speaking of which, I do want to let everybody know that Stu Peters has a great documentary coming out on that Megan's going to be featured in. So It looks very, very interesting. I'm not going to play it here because there could be some things that could get us kicked off of our YouTube channel and Facebook. And that is if the name Meghan Walsh doesn't get us kicked off. Because I have noticed, for those of you who know, I do own a digital media marketing company. We're kind of monitoring the name Meghan Walsh, and it's changing by the day as to what's included on YouTube. I just highly encourage everybody to even go to YouTube and search Meghan's name exactly as it's spelled, and you will see videos of her father under her name now, from People Magazine on up, because they are really trying to suppress your story. And if it's my last dying breath, I'm not going to let them. Because you know what? John Walsh took away my ability to ride a bicycle freely around the corner. Sorry.
That's real. That's real. And this isn't rocket science. Sadly, it's a playbook. And, we're just praying. And I know many of us are praying that the rest will, be able to see this, sadly. And it's horrific. Again, I love my parents very much, but that's not, their decisions are not my responsibility. And whatever they've been involved in or not, and what they're doing here alone is not okay. And it's showing a lot of what, I am one example, and I'm very blessed, actually, in a very odd way, that I do have the ability to, speak out in this way and have people listen to me. And that's something I'm thankful for every day. But, this is not just about John Walsh's daughter and a celebrity. This is happening all over our country. And as I said before, even worldwide, unfortunately. So, we need to be talking about this, and we need to take it seriously and stop, using the excuses and the narratives that we've been given, like, oh, there must be a reason we don't know about, best interests of the children, these terms, takes a village, all of that. We really need to start looking at what the intention and the reality behind those phrases are, and knowing that we can do better. It's a great thing. We can do better.
I really say this, Meghan, I really try to get people to think logically. So it's just think about how much your CPS, just the system as a whole in your county. So let's just take, everybody, if they just take their own county and they think, okay, well, if we divided that money up against the moms that actually just need help, maybe the widowers, the divorcees that just need help, I can guarantee you we could feed your children, clothe your children, and put housing over your children and school them for a lot less than what it's costing to go through. Because, there are many times I wonder, are they trying to also drain, any amount of finances that you also have? Will you have to repay any of this yourself? Are they going to try to come after you as an individual to repay? I don't know. I mean, I've never been in that exact situation. I mean, I thank God I was in very unique situations with my one daughter, but, I'm very thankful that we didn't run into bad policemen. On one side, let's just say in Las Vegas, we ran into very good policemen. Whereas, otherwise I'd kind of escaped the county that my in-laws were controlling, let's just say. And
this is not a unique situation, sadly. I mean, a lot of people think, oh, these people grow up in certain ways, oh, they're so spoiled, or oh, they're this and that, and really people have no idea. The grass is always greener, unfortunately, and this is a systemic issue. There's no way to deny that anymore. If you're still trying to deny it, not researching or looking into it for your own self, then you're sadly part of the problem.
And you'll see, all they have to do, honestly, right now, if you just go onto YouTube, and search John Walsh, you will see everything is a fear factor that's being promoted through your father's voice. And you know what? Truthfully, I pray for him. I really do.
I do too, every day.
If he could just realize, honestly, I'd give the man a hug with open arms if he would just.
It's heartbreaking. All I ever asked was for them to get help. and to, take responsibility. I had only ever asked questions. I've never accused him of anything. I don't know. This was my father. This is my father and my mother. And this is a horrific position to be in. I thought that they'd be proud, like I've said many times, of, me getting involved in things, and especially, a system that they themselves quote, that the majority of child, trafficking comes from the CPS system itself. So, that's a very hard thing. And we just need to realize that there's a narrative versus truth, and we really need to look at perhaps a different perspective on what this system is, especially when it's profiting, from our children and from us. And like you said, yes, when families are arguing or more services are needed or issues are found, they profit more and they keep it going. And everyone that's speaking out about this hates to have to be the bad guy to speak about it. This should be very clear at this point, and we all need to be, taking action and asking questions and getting answers, actually.
And Megan, you were telling me one day that you started getting a lot of backlash from them when you started asking first about your brother's death and passing. Just started to look into that. And then you had also told your parents that after you had studied religious scholar for 20 years or so, that you were choosing Jesus as your Lord and Savior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the things that have been used against me are things regarding medical freedom, religious choices, lifestyle choices, things like that, that really, again, even people that would know and look at the case would see that none of them justify the department's removal of children. These are all very subjective things, and that's also what the American public needs to be concerned about, unfortunately. These are the things that they are using, and it's getting very dangerous. We do need to be very aware of that. I was homeschooling. I used, I was in school for functional nutrition. I follow integrative health and have extensive knowledge in integrative health, as well as trauma and healing from my own experiences and my own trainings, and what I decided to do with that, to help others and stuff. So the things that I've actually, prided myself on and been very proud of or known for in the community and across the country is, especially with supporting families and parents. It's a very ironic situation and very bizarre, to say the least.
Well, honestly, I can't wait to have you back on when you have more time and you're not fighting CPS about what an amazing artist you are and fashion designer. Because when I started looking things up, I'm like, holy smoke, she is so unbelievably talented. And singing at the opening of your fashion show, is that right? Like, is that real? Like, that's how talented you are. So that's what I can't wait for, to even find, I really want to, whenever I speak with you, I really want to talk more about that than
better
days,
Christy. There are better days ahead, and I can't thank you enough for bringing that up, because that does put a little flutter in my heart. And many that know me know that I did leave the industry in Hollywood and media and everything to be a mother, and I always knew that would come back in the right way, aligned to good and how I can help others and things. And I do see that coming back. So I really do. And all the craziness, I really do appreciate that so much, because there's
gorgeous. Your designs are spectacular. Your designs are absolutely spectacular. So just search for those of you, because I have a lot of followers that are interior designers, fashion designers. So at least, they can leave something at the end of the day and say, hey, this girl's really talented.
I had, aside from fighting CPS, and I've been out trying to fight for my children back and John Walsh, I did have a whole life before, and, a lot of things that I did that, a lot of people really, also love to do. And I can't wait to get back to that. And I appreciate that, Christy.
You're welcome. And listen, our Indian friends, I think we both have Indian friends. So I want to say hey to our Indian friends, because we're going to see them all popping up here and all over India, Pakistan, the Philippines. Listen, I've got a slew of godchildren everywhere, and I say the world, they're not, nobody's stopping us, like not even China. So they're like, keep
Yeah,
on, keep on.
this has been amazing how I have seen it go global, and I've had so much support from the UK, from India, even people in Australia, because CPS is an issue, a big issue there, and also in the other countries I just mentioned. And people are crying out. If your first reaction to hearing these things is, oh, there must be something or more to the story. Well, you're absolutely right, but not in the way that you think. There is a lot more to the story. And I hope that maybe if you even get worked up like that it makes you then go look into it. Because even Facebook, for example, if you put in family court corruption or CPS corruption or, things like that, you will see tens of thousands and more. I mean, that's just America, never mind the globe, of testimonies of loving, heartbroken families that are being forced to live with their child, without their child who is still living. This is not okay for our country, for our humanity, and this is just a fundamental issue. This is not a fight. Anyone that is retaliating or going against this or having an issue, then they really need to be looked at this point, or just further educated maybe, but it's time.
Yeah, that's right. You know what, Meghan, I mean, I didn't even know you very long ago. I didn't even know Penny L.A. Shepherd very long ago. And now she's like family. For those of you who haven't heard my interviews with her, they're on Right On Radio with Jeff. You could go to Podbean or anywhere else and just search, Christi, Penny, and they should pop up because she's amazing. She's done an amazing job researching your father, just to kind of help you get a background, because the story is so deep that it's beyond that. And even since I just interviewed you yesterday, I've had many of Adam's researchers had come forward. So there's going to be those that I really want to research, because I mean, I do believe that, a lot of this, I mean, number one, he deserves, whatever is going on there, the public deserves to know the truth regarding him, and he deserves a proper memory, because what we think of him may not be true. We don't know. I mean, like they all have their theories. I'm willing to hear them all out, to be honest with you.
Christi, it's amazing to have seen through COVID and how people have evolved and really, start living this way and looking into things. I had started, several years back, like I've said, to look into the case, to look into the connections, doing the research, and had definitely hit walls at a certain point, which Penny was very great at being able, it was a very complementary team working together. It's been amazing. And because I've been more in the system and different things, where she's more in the background of the deeper connections and stuff like that, which is what I had directed her towards and been looking at. So she has done an amazing job. She has slideshows. We have them available for anyone who's interested and, wants to take the time to reach out and get that from her, from us. But, she's been amazing, and we've really all come together. I mean, for you to get on board, for Hollis, I mean, this, and the supporters. I could not do this and fight for my children every day, and for others, all other children as well, after having lost everything, for speaking out about it. And, we're seeing many other people come forward that have been retaliated against. And again, this is not.
I would encourage everybody to come forward. If you have a story that's, you may not be Meghan Walsh, thank God, Meghan would probably say, but the reality is, I want to give a voice to anyone who may have a story like yours, because I mean, it's very difficult to get the word out there. And I know a lot of times people don't want to hear it. I mean, I have journalist friends, they really want to cover it. They're in mainstream media. They really want to cover things, but they tell me their executive producers strike them down. And, many of them want to quit. And I actually encourage them to stay there. So at least we know what they're striking down and what they're not. because if
Well, I
you're
mean,
not,
I grew up in media, and that's what a lot of people also don't realize. Like, I grew up on the inside of media and at the stations and doing everything. And, that was a big moment of contention with my dad when I would watch them make up narratives for ratings or for, emotional manipulation or, whatever that was. And I really had an issue with that. And I don't think that people really realize how much and how often that happens and what it's really about, just fundamentally. It's not all these big, crazy, out there things. It's very real. It's very easy. They've got it down pat. So, for us to be able to get out and, again, that's another thing. Many mainstream media outlets have known about this. And, that says a lot to them, and whether they air it or whether they keep it quiet. And like I've said before, where is the headline that John Walsh has to save his grandchildren from his crazy daughter?
yeah, it's
So
not there.
would
It's
love
being completely covered up. They, when I was actually looking when you first said that, and you've been saying that for a while, I had thought they'll try to do a spin, right? Like they'll try to do the spin because if it weren't true, that's what they would actually say. And then the other thing I want everybody to think about is if you're in CPS, I've never heard of people being able to, like the foster parents being able to take them out of state. I was a little surprised on that. Maybe that's, we'll have to ask Hollis. I'm not really sure if that's normal or not.
It's not normal.
It's not
usual.
Okay.
Like foster parents. I mean, I guess one could argue because they're in kinship placement, with my parents, but fostering and everything, that's null and void because foster parents cannot take children out of the state for a vacation, things like that, because the parent has the priority. That's something that you agree to and going on. But again, John Reve Walsh have been allowed to run this entire show. That would be a whole show in itself to really show, which we have, every way that they have been able to call the shots, run the show, and continue their abuse through now the government.
Well, I'll say this: the most telling sign of that was actually in the parenting petition that we went over on Nick's show yesterday, because it clearly stated obvious things in your home, such as, the garage smells like cat pee. Okay, so is that a real reason? How many of our garages smell good in the state of Florida? I would like to know.
Well, and also, Christy, I mean, you call animal control and have them come investigate, which actually is something that I actually forgot because there's been so much on Nicholas's show yesterday that not only did they, file the family case, then filed to take the home like a week or so later, then 2 weeks later, ambush and take my children, with my father, John Walsh, getting on the Zoom hearing saying, Your Honor, she's holding those children hostage in that house. We have to get them out. So he says, okay. The next day, we get banging on the door with, guns on the side and everything. We don't answer the door, and we call, and it's animal. They leave a card like normal, like they are supposed to do. We call them, and we are told that there was an anonymous call reporting that there were 3 cats and 2 dogs being held hostage in the garage.
Wow.
We at least come up with like a new America's Most Wanted scenario for this. Like, people are really drinking the Kool-Aid, and it's scary.
Scary. It is. I think we have a mass psychosis going on that I'm hoping, little by little, one video at a time, hopefully it's going to wake them up, because it is difficult to realize.
It's a wild thing to see that, how many people I've just observed. I used to be a meditation teacher. I used to be, all these different things. And to really observe how people will go to bat for somebody or shame a victim because they've watched someone on television, or they shook their hand once or something like that. Like, this is really serious. Like, there's something about a public persona versus a private life. And you all really need to understand that, especially if you're going to be so aggressive about claiming that like.
Yeah, I'm gonna point people to the episode that Jeff and I did on the Johnny Depp episode, like when people were so, we have to think this was actually shown in court where typically it's not shown at all. Well, listen, I don't want to keep you any longer. I know that you have a dinner planned, and you have a birthday to celebrate. And you do have to. So I do want to give everybody an opportunity to help with your defense because your dad sold your house. By the way, $350,000 they get for the house. Hold on, wait. When I looked up, I don't even know if this is correct. Okay. So I don't know if you've looked up who bought the house.
Mm-hmm.
You looked it up?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was shocked. Is this really is this person, like they got arrested? It's my understanding.
Yes.
The person who bought the home.
It's a criminal. What?
Okay. Wait. Can you? Okay, the person who bought your $350,000 home in Vero Beach, that was 1,997 square feet. Is that the house? Okay.
Yeah.
Because everybody had me under the impression that Meghan had this massive estate somewhere, and I'm like, sorry, but I was like looking for your massive estate and didn't really.
I chose a small split level home for me and my 3 children. Yeah.
So I took the parenting petition, and I would have shown it in the video yesterday if I had really thought but I was like, okay, this is some multi-mansion. And then I look up the address, and I see that the house is sold for $350,000, way under square footage. By the way, they sell the house, especially right now in the state of Florida. It was a cute house. But then I look and I'm like, oh my gosh, did this house really sell to a criminal? At first, I thought another researcher had found that the house sold to a criminal. Do you know? Because I haven't had a chance to really, I don't even have the information up otherwise, but I just thought that
we looked it up. I don't remember his name, but we looked it up, and he's also connected to people in government in Florida as well. And my neighbor that he bought the home next to, my neighbor was an ex-cop back in the day when we were about 15, 16 years old. And I've even had my friends come forward and say, and he's no longer a cop. And he showed up and testified against me and slandered me, lied under oath to have my children taken. And he actually didn't work. He's not even a police officer anymore because my friends had come forward and with allegations of him pulling them over when they were 16 years old and saying, oh, I won't give you a ticket if you give me your phone number. And I mean, it's you guys, it's a lot, and it's bizarre, and it's creepy. Yeah. And my children are being put through all of this and exploited by the National Center for Missing Exploited Children's founder. You guys, I'm in this with everybody else too, trying to reconcile it. Yeah. And ensure that my children are safe and home. They're trying to adopt them in 2 weeks. So
yeah, but we're not going to let that happen. Everybody, if they really are trying to adopt Meghan's children out, Hollis is doing a great job trying to get everything ready to file, to go to court, because it is very bogus charges, or not charges, but allegations. And I would ask everyone just to think logically. Okay, the parenting petition that Meghan first received was from the father of her oldest child that had never seen the child, and it was making allegations of things that are inside the house. Well, how would he know unless he'd been inside the house? And then I look a little deeper, and the reason I was bringing up the house is because the father used the same exact attorney as your dad did to sell the house. He basically said, oh, he needed to sell the house because the allegation was something like basically you weren't doing what he wanted you to do. So the house needed to be divided, and it couldn't be properly divided. So it needs to go to private or public sale. Either way, he wants his half of the money, plus he wants all of the insurance and the taxes that he's paid for. And what I was looking for, Meghan, is if the house actually sold, why is your money being held in escrow? And
they requested for it to be held in quote until after this DCF case, so that would keep me homeless and indigent. When, if I had my half, I would have been able to get a home. I was already doing everything on the case plan, even with it being false and fraud. And so that's what they need to do. And they have it in quotes on the court documents asking for it to be held in escrow, whatever little bit is left, until after this case is over and after they've accomplished, adopting my children and guardianship.
Well, that's our goal. We're not going to let that happen. So I'm going to ask everybody, Hollis, we were getting really excited earlier today because I agreed to step in to help Hollis with your PR. In other words, just booking people for you and things like that, because Meghan has a very busy schedule with this CPS and the things that they're forcing her to do. And, many people may ask, well, why can't she just get a job? And even I kind of asked the same thing, Meghan, in the very beginning. I said, to Hollis, well, can she just get a job? And Hollis is like, have you seen the schedule? I'm going to have her send you the schedule because it's that crazy.
And I did. I even hostessed, and did a restaurant up until like a week or two before I had my baby even. And, I just don't have to lay everything out there, but I would hope that people would start giving, victims and people speaking out. I don't look at myself as a victim. We're being victimized right now and we're surviving through it. But I just hope that, we can all come to our heart space and really start trying to see issues. We do have an issue with domestic violence as well, where approximately 6% of women and children only are believed. And that's very dangerous, especially with our system and certain movements and different issues that are coming up in our society today.
Well, I hope that everybody will at least, go on your gifts and go, if nothing else, agree to say a prayer for you and pray, because obviously that's a big thing. We need to make sure that we're praying for Meghan, pray for Esther Grace, pray for the other 3 children. And that Meghan actually gets to see them, touch them, love on them, because, Zooms are not the same and they're psychologically impairing the children. We all know that. We all know that from, the Zooms in school last year, that children did not learn the way that they should have. Teachers are frustrated and everything. So
the department doesn't acknowledge that. They thoroughly believe that there is no difference with Zoom versus in person. So that's your part of your system that are claiming to be experts in protecting your children.
Unbelievable. Some of these things, like the more I even ask and the more we talk, the more I read through some of these documents, it's like the crazier it seems to get. It really, really does.
You can see allegations across the country of babies and murders and mothers that are charged with murders when the child is sitting right there, but we've been seeing that. So that's for people to look into and see for themselves. We're not here to convince anyone. This is factual, whether you're going to realize it or jump on board or not. That's what it's.
People often don't realize things, Meghan, until it's them.
Yep.
I have figured out, I use the example all the time because I live in an HOA, I live in a building, and, I kept trying to say, oh, you're going to be missing parking spaces. You're going to be missing parking spaces. And guess what? No one listened. For a year, I basically said it and no one listened until their parking space was gone and they came home and there was no parking signs. And I'm like, okay, wish I could feel sorry for you, but I couldn't help.
Yeah, right. And wait till the Gestapo starts going through your neighborhood, knocking on doors for kids like they already did. And we have videotapes sent to Governor DeSantis about them hunting me down on a false report about a pregnancy and having a baby. So, people need to realize that if it hasn't happened to you, to speak to that, Christy, if it hasn't happened to you, it has happened to one of your friends or a relative or something. And it will, if that hasn't happened. And it's only getting more prevalent because they are becoming future predictors and they're using very vague excuses like mental illness and avoiding and preventing potential adverse events in the future. So what, is everyone just going to live in a hospital when they're born because we might have an illness in the future? This is very irrational ways to justify this. And that is also something that my dad has a very big theme of within his work, this preventative and this future, predicting, and all of these things that are very dangerous to the American people, and especially our Constitution, to be honest.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I want everybody to at least go onto your gifts and go give something. If you have a sizable gift, please Zelle Meghan's attorneys directly, so that because she has to pay roughly like 5% off of Give, Send, Go. So it's great if you're giving, like little small amounts, but let's just say if you're giving over $100, do us a favor and call Hollis directly. Meghan doesn't really care. Say that you're on there praying with her, or give a $5 gift on Give, Send, Go, and give the rest on Zelle, just to show your support. Because Meghan, I know it makes you super happy every time you go on to Give, Send, Go, and there's at least messages or something.
The messages, prayers have been invaluable. I truly could not be doing this without the support and prayers. My children, I pray every single time my children were in church, all of this. So those comments really do keep me going. And I do engage with people on Twitter and different things through my team and stuff. So please, and we just want to pay for the lawyers, and we want Hollis to be compensated for all of her hard work. Unfortunately and disgustingly, in this system, it's coming down to money over, obtaining your children, correcting what's right, and getting them back. So, that will go directly to her. If you have, like Christi said, a substantial donation, which our church has been amazing, and other churches have come forward. I know people have gone to their own churches and shared our story and our effort, and they've gotten involved as well. So we can't thank everyone enough. This is truly about the people coming together and us supporting each other, using our voices, and protecting our children. Truly.
Yeah, absolutely. And Meghan, I know you've already promised that, you had already been advocating for CPS children, which I really appreciate. That's one of the things I admired about you. And then, of course, they took your children. So
ironic, right?
Yeah. This is what
no reason that this would be happening, must be me. Okay.
Yeah. And no reason the video for Nicholas Vinyamin was too long, even though it was up and it was live, and it had received more than 15,000 views and 200 comments. He said,
I watch like 8-hour live wave videos for sleep or something. I don't know what too long. I was wondering about.
But that's what he said. That's what they told him. It was too long, and then they banned him for 30 days and took down 6 other videos, which we're waiting to see right now. Which of those 6 videos are. So that should tell you.
Your time is censored too. Your amount of time is now censored.
Well, maybe that's what they're trying to tell us now. So maybe our time is coming near. So maybe everybody needs to share this. We don't know what we're going to be censored from next. And that may sound like a theory, and it's not a fear factor. That is the truth, because we're shadow banned on many channels. So if nobody shares, nobody comments, nobody shares into groups, that actually helps, believe it or not, or just share privately. Feel free to mirror this video. You don't have to even ask me. If you'll tell me that you're mirroring it, I'll actually come on and comment and, let people know where we are. And then, and I'm going to ask, if you do mirror it, please make sure that you copy and paste the Give, Send, Go. I'm going to put that in the comments too, or it should be in the description box. So please make sure that you include that information, because we have a lot of people that it looks like are trying to collect on Meghan's behalf. There is only one Give, Send, Go, and there is only one Zelle directly to her attorney. And she does need to be able to raise quite a bit of money in the next couple of weeks in order to pay for things that are due, and Meghan, I'm really sorry for everything that's hit you like a ton of bricks, especially considering, girl, you just had a baby.
I did, and they had me in court twice the same week physically after I have a baby, which is, again, I can't make sense of people who say they know what they're doing in collect taking oaths and children and salaries. So, but I can't thank you enough. And yeah, I mean, we can do this. We really can. And the people have really supported. And, you know, this is a very heavy hearted topic and situation. But, you know, I do want to say, like I've always said, there are better ways. There is a really bright side to this on the other side. Once people can truly change and realize the perspective of how this is happening and what it really is, sadly. But, you know, we can do this, and we're coming together, and people are realizing, and children are coming home, and people are being held accountable. So, you know, your support is invaluable. Prayers, of course. And I just say God bless to everyone that's getting involved in this, because this is a purpose here, you know, and we really can do great things. We have a lot of children and you know, to bring home and hearts to mend. So thank you again, Christi. Always thank you.
You've definitely got the dream lawyer. That's all I can say.
Amen. We prayed for her here.
And you know what I love about Hollis is when I go to her and say somebody's commented this, she's like, hey, can you talk to them? Can you find out? Like, nothing is beyond, you know, she's not beyond hearing anything.
She knows what we're dealing with. She understands, and she has not been afraid. I can't tell you the amount of lawyers.
Many people are saying she needs to get a new lawyer. Many people are saying she needs to get a new lawyer, and I'm like, well, she has.
Yes. And finally, I mean, that's again what it is. And that's another thing when we start educating people about the system. And if you want to educate yourself, you will see that that is a very common issue with the court appointed attorneys, or even having representation, sadly. So I did have attorneys. I did get new ones. Ones were assigned and immediately begged to be recused, because they don't want any part of this, you know, injury to these children and this exposure of the system. So there's always light at the end of the tunnel, and we know the bigger picture, and we just need to really get my children home and protected so that we can start moving forward towards the right change and positive changes within the system.
Amen. We're going to make it happen. Well, everybody, please make sure that you hit the description below. If you have any questions, or if you have ideas, we are reading the comments. I'm taking them back to Hollis. And I really thank you for, you know, just being here and listening. Please do make sure that you share this video. And you may also want to share the Nicholas Benyamin video as well, because that actually has the allegations in there. And we actually talked about different things that every mom should know in that video. So do make sure that you watch it, listen, share, like, subscribe, all those things, because we never know when we're going to be censored. And go to patriotsperspective.com, sign up for the email, and please tell Meghan happy birthday on her Give, Sing, Go. Thank you, everybody. And if you, like I said, if you have any ideas, let us know. Ciao. And remember, do unto others as you would have others do unto you.